of the most fun aspects of some video games has to be the side quests within them that you can go and do whenever you feel like it if you don't feel like doing the main story. And this leads me to something else. A few days ago we covered some of these secrets and Easter eggs in the Isle of Armour, and that led me back to something else that I think we should take a look at, which is the secret and hidden side quests in Pokemon Sword and Shield that you should check out. So this is going to be going through both the ones in Sword and Shield and some in the Isle of Armour. So sit down, relax, and let's jump right into it. Also, 700 likes on this video, and you can expect a video on the side quests in older Pokemon games very soon. We kick off this list with the creepiest and more well-known side quests in these Sword and Shield games, which is the case of the Letter. So, when you are in Hammerlock, you can head to the top of the city and find a girl, and if you speak to her, she'll ask you to deliver a letter to a friend of hers named Frank, who lives in the city of Ballinolea, where we also find the Fairy-type gym. Now, when you get there, you won't have a hard time actually finding the house where Frank lives. You simply have to enter it and then speak to him. The strange part, however, is that Frank will basically tell you, and you'll notice that he's an old man, he will actually tell you that the letter you gave him is from his old friend Paula, who actually passed away when she was very young. You are then given a choice scarf item by Frank, and yeah, it's a strange moment. If you actually go back to the spot where, well, she was, Paula will no longer be there. And also another strange fact is that inside of Frank's house, one of his granddaughters is acting really weird and seemingly speaking with ghosts while looking into a wall. This is truly a spooky side quest that also does reward you with a cool and useful item. Next is the stones in Turfield. It is one of the strangest things ever, as it has to do with the giant Stonehenge looking rocks that you find in Turfield. So if you speak to a girl in a pink outfit towards the top of the outlook of Turfield, she will tell you that there is a treasure buried somewhere in Turfield, and she gives you this riddle. Seek yourself 3 standing stones with grass before the other ones. Use well that strength, and find then the strength of its strength in the end. Dally not, if you've mind to find what time has left behind. So, a odd riddle, but how do you actually complete this riddle and this side quest? Well, here is the steps, and you have to be fast with them, so if you have the bike, it'll be way quicker. First, you head to the Grass Stone, which is left at the Pokemon Center. Then you head to the Water Stone, which is close to the Outlook, and finally, you head to the Fire Stone, which is very close to the exit towards Route 5. After completing this, you'll be rewarded with the Expert Belt, which is really cool and awesome, so a quick and fun little side quest. Then we have the side quest where you as the champion have to straight up be a delivery man. So yeah, after you become a champion in Sword and Shield, a side quest would unlock at the restaurant in Holberry, where you actually met Chairman Rose not too long ago. The chef inside the building will ask you to deliver some food for him because he usually has a food delivery guy who's currently busy. So you can do this about 3 times, and where you in the first 2 times will be rewarded with mostly just nuggets and also a large EXP candy. The last one, however, you will actually deliver it and you'll be rewarded with a lucky egg. So yeah, as for the delivery itself, it's very easy as all of it is sort of within the area of Holberry, you know, the town itself. So you won't have a difficult time handling the quest because it's mostly in the area of the city itself. Alright, next is one of the more recent side quests which you can find in the Isle of Armour expansion. We are of course talking about the case of the Diglets. See, at the start of the Isle of Armour, you can actually talk to this guy who will basically give you the task of finding a bunch of Alolan Diglets, give or take 150 or so of them. Now, what is cool about this side quest is that the fact that you will actually get rewarded for the amount of them you find, and depending on which type of starter you choose in Sword and Shield, you'll be also rewarded with an Alolan starter of the same typing that you chose as your starter in the Sword and Shield games once you find 100 Diglets. So basically, if you chose Scorbunny, you will get a Litten. And yeah, at 150 Diglets, you also get rewarded with your own Alolan Diglett to have, which is pretty cool. So generally speaking, it's a really cool little side quest, and you can also kind of skip it if you don't want to do it. Initially, they kind of force you into it, but other than that, you can kind of skip it if you just go around the island to the other side to do the main story. But a cool side quest nonetheless. Next is actually another side quest from the Isle of Armour, and this one in particular is one where you are tasked with finding and trading a Galarian form of a Pokemon with loads of random female characters around the Isle of Armour. Basically, they'll be looking for a different Galarian form of different Pokemon, right? And will trade you their version of the same Pokemon. For example, one of these people will be looking for a Galarian Zigzagoon, and will trade you an original Hoenn Zigzagoon for you to have in your team. There are loads of these around the Isle of Armour for you to actually take a look at, and and trade with. So if you're looking for one of the older Pokemon in their original forms, you can just go and find these people on the island because most of them will have it. For example, for, again, as we mentioned, Galarian Zigzagoon can be traded for a Hoenn Zigzagoon. Next, we have the case of the Lost Minccino. This is actually one of the earliest side quests within the Sword and Shield games, and all they require is for you to help out a kid at Motostoke City as he has basically lost his Minccino. After speaking to him, basically he will tell you that his Minccino likes water, and it's very simple to complete this. If you go right next to Motostoke's gym, you will find some water in a sort of pond, so to say, and by whistling, the Minccino will actually jump out of the water on top of the giant Pokeball in the pond, and all you have to do is talk to it and then bring it back to the kid, or rather it will go back to the kid automatically. And once you talk to the kid once again, he will reward you with an item. It's a pretty simple and pretty fast side quest for the most part. Alright, so I have to include the Detective Mystery side quest from Sword and Shield. This was the first side quest I got to do and was actually loads of fun. Basically, within the hotel in Chichester, loads of people have been stopped and are being questioned by a detective who's trying to figure out who stole a bunch of berries. You get to help him investigate who has done it, and if you're actually able to blame several of the different, people that are considered to be guilty here, and you can make them all seem like they're the guilty person, which basically leads to like funny reactions. But the end result is that, well, a Squavit was actually responsible for all of it. So the people being questioned get angry and try to hunt down the detective. Basically, a cool and random little side quest you can do that also has a unique cutscene, or, a few different cutscenes, which actually are pretty awesome to see. Next, we have another side quest from the Isle of Armour, and this one is pretty much required if you wish to get a Galarian Slowbro. So, see, for this little side quest, you have to go around the Isle of Armour collecting the Galaric twigs. See, these will be needed as you require about 8 of them to then be given to a lady out in the Isle of Armour Sea on an island for her to create a Galarica cuff, which once you have one of those, you can give that to your Galarian Slowpoke, which will make it evolve into a Galarian Slowbro. So a solid little side quest for you to get your hands on a brand new Pokemon for your Pokedex as well as for your team. And I mean, Galarian Slowbro is pretty awesome and also a very fast Pokemon. Next, we have the Applin side quest. So when you are in Hammerlock City, you can find a guy who is looking for an Applin. When you speak to him, he will tell you about how Applins are given to the people you like as a show of affection, and then he says he needs one and asks you if you could give him one. Now if you do this and you hand him an Applin, a cutscene will play where his crush shows up and talks to him. She'll basically say, hey, thank you for this Applin, you actually caught it yourself. He will admit that he didn't catch it himself and promise her that, hey, I can't give you this one, but I'll go catch one on my own. And it turns out, well, they do like each other, and then he'll actually hand you back, he'll return the Applin to you and instead go out to catch one on his own. But before he does that, he will reward you with either a sweet apple or a tart apple, depending on which version of Pokemon Sword or Shield you are playing, which is what you'll also need to evolve your own Applin, so it's basically perfect. So yeah, an odd little side quest that was also sort of charming, to be frankly honest. And finishing it all off is the last side quest we'll take a look at, which is the Clothes with Fiery Spirit side quest. For this one, you have to head back to Balnolea, where we have, of course, the 5th gym located. Outside the house where we know that Frank lives, you actually find a guy who is really strange, but if you talk to actually him, he'll tell you that he has got a fiery spirit and whatnot. So he'll just go a bit crazy, talk about the fiery spirit, and then he will tell you that if you give him some clothes, that are considered fiery, he'll basically reward you. And if you do this, if you actually get him some clothes that are considered fiery of spirit, then he will actually reward you with the TM for acrobatics, which is pretty solid. So a kind of short and sort of like random side quest, but it is sort of there and you can do it, and hey, you get a TM for it, so it's kind of worth it. And that is it for the video, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon related content. Also check out and sub to my compilation channel, Astra Poke, which you can find linked down below. But yeah, thanks for watching, and if you want to see another side quest related video, perhaps for the older Pokemon games, then let's hit 700 likes on this video, shall we? Either way, thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next time. Peace out and bye bye, ladies and gentlemen.